Thank you. You are all now officially part of the Silicon Valley Innovation Academy tradition of clapping wildly at the beginning of everything we do. Welcome, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the finale. My name is William Treseder. I've had the great honor of being one of the people to help shepherd these students through this program. And I won't waste any time talking about myself, but the important thing is to understand is that these are some phenomenal students. You are meeting the top 8 teams of 19 teams that formed 6.5 weeks ago. There are 100 students from over 24 countries and all across the United States, and they have worked really, really hard. Everything you see that's going to be presented to you this evening is all in addition to them being full-time students at Stanford. Everything they've done. Each one of these ideas has moved forward incredibly. These teams are really, really impressive, and we're really glad to have them. In accordance with the good graces of the panelists, they've allowed me to skip the usual, all the biographical information. Suffice to say, this is Stanford, so each of them is awesome, right? Initially, you have Geoff Ralston joining us from Y Combinator, Lindy Fishburne joining us from Breakout Labs, Arjun Arora joining us from 500 Startups, and Macy Peterson joining us from On Second Thought. Please join me in welcoming our panelists. The students will be presenting in 5 minutes each. Panelists will have some time for feedback, and then we'll be moving quickly on to the next group. You'll have plenty of time to talk to them afterwards, so please refrain from shouting anything out unless it's clapping wildly. Thank you guys very much for joining us. We look forward to having you. Please stay through the end because there's some pretty cool surprises that are going to be going on.
William, there's music.
Hi everyone, my name's Catherine and this is Venki, Alex and Miguel and we are Combat Corruption.
So if you haven't guessed it already, the main problem we want to solve for SVIA is corruption. But then corruption is a huge problem that cuts across sectors, across countries and continents, and affects billions and billions of people. Which is why, as we went through the process and as we talked to more people, we narrowed the problem down to citizens being pulled over, abused, and extorted by traffic officials. And as we talked to more people, we found that the root cause of this was unawareness of traffic rules and basic rights on the road.
Our first business model canvas focuses on corruption on a whole. We designed the idea of a reporting app that can be used by the victims of corruption to report the incidences of corruption to us. We could share that information with governments and news organizations for revenues. We also planned on tying up with philanthropists and NGOs. We thought that corruption is too big a problem to focus at once, so we narrowed it down.
So we conducted a survey, we sent out emails, we had chat interviews, and we even made phone calls to places as far as Mumbai and Manila. But then these people were telling us the same thing. Traffic stops, being pulled over by policemen was a big problem. Now, and this was confirmed when we conducted a survey, and 98% of them said yes, being pulled over and being asked to pay a bribe was a huge problem. And this was only reinforced by the 23 chat interviews and 16 phone calls we made back to where we came from.
So initially, with our first business model canvas, we thought of tackling the problem of corruption as a whole. We thought of developing a recording and reporting application that would help us to enable citizens to report any incidents. But we were being too idealistic. We thought that the people would want to help us, but we were assuming that they would be compelled to report on corrupt acts. So, after doing more market research, we decided to further develop our idea by developing a campaign to work in tandem with our application. This would be in the form of a simple website that would display data analytics that is collected from our application and also share corruption-related news. However, based on the interviews we have conducted, none of these solved any of our customers' problems. So we pivoted our idea and decided to work on a two-way verification application between police officers and drivers being pulled over. Lastly, after multiple iterations of our idea, we discovered that we were not designing for our target market. The markets that we were targeting, mostly less developed countries, had citizens who have very little access to mobile data plans or smartphones. Thus, we pivoted to our final MVP, which was a SMS verification method between the police officer and the driver.
Building off of these MVPs, our new business model canvas has been trimmed down as we have focused in on exactly the problem we want to solve. Our main customer base changed to local government bodies trying to tackle corruption in their police force, while the primary users will still be drivers. Our new value proposition is a service allowing both the automatic registration of an encounter with police officers and a simple way to communicate key information to the person stopped. The encounter's information can then be used to provide the government bodies with useful statistics about their officers. We hope that this system will cut the motivation for drivers to bribe police officers.
Here's an example of our simple solution sketch. So when a police officer pulls over a driver for a potential traffic offense, he will scan the driver's license, and this will send the driver an SMS looking something like this. In the SMS, there will be information such as the police officer's name, ID, and also the offense that the driver is being pulled over for. Further down, you will see a list of response prompts that a driver can use to interact with an SMS chatbot. This chatbot will be able to give drivers the information they need. For instance, by replying 1, the driver will be able to receive a comprehensive list of his rights and the laws relevant to the state that he's being pulled over in.
So moving forward, we've gone from corruption to being pulled over by corrupt police to educating unaware people of their rights and rules of the road. So we plan on implementing this in cities that have cooperative government, police departments that are willing to innovate, and freedom of the press. We've contacted a senator from the Philippines and an official from India, and they've expressed willingness to help. And we are combat corruption. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Questions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Questions.
Yeah. Any questions? Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
I can see.
Hey, I just want to say that congratulations, because I think that using technology to fight corruption is enormous. And I would think of, while you're telling your story, to point out that the main thing, I think anyway, that technology can do to fight corruption is to shine this really great light of transparency on it. That's kind of what you're doing, right? You're making it so obvious when something happens that, well, it's kind of hard to do. It's the same thing that body cameras do. I did find, and I think if you tell this story again, I found the story a little bit hard to follow. Because it seemed to sort of go back and forth a little bit. You know, you told your journey, but you told the journey about going from all corruption to a little bit of corruption a few times. And I was trying to track whether you actually were going forward or going backward and forward again. And I would also never, ever, ever use that model slide of yours again with so much text that no one can read it. Just as a general rule, if you're going to present and no one can read the slide you're presenting, it's just not a good slide. So if you want to use some, that was probably the actual thing you used and you thought you were trying to be accurate by doing that, it's not worth it. Use some representation of that the audience can actually derive some value from. But I really love the direction you're going.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
I would agree. I think you did a lovely job presenting, and it's really interesting to see how your idea evolved over time. I got a little confused on how much we're focused on the police person pulling someone over that's asking for the bribe versus then I feel like at one point we were talking about the driver potentially initiating the bribe. And so I think specificity on what's the action and the challenge that you're actually trying to address and who that data is valuable for to change that behavior would also help me track the story better.
All right.
Thanks.
So we'd just like to clarify that we believe that if we educate and empower citizens, that cuts the motive for wanting to give a bribe and allowing policemen to ask you for a bribe. So.
That the motivation of the bribe was from them, or was it because of being strong-armed by the police?
Oh yeah, definitely
ways.
both people, both sides. Like,
Well, everyone's happy then.
Yeah.
but
That's why.
Yeah,
that's why we kind
got
of
that
changed our
in
model.
some interviews. We got that it's a win-win situation. Why do you want to do it? But the economy suffers, the whole country suffers, and the government suffers. So we are selling it to the government, and they want to get rid of the suffering. So it's good for them, right?
So definitely in alignment and excitement around kind of the issue that you're tackling, particularly around just bringing transparency to the issue. One of the things, this is a bit more of a technical question, but you had mentioned that someone will scan, the policeman will scan the driver's license and then it will send a text message. How are you kind of creating that linkage between a driver's license and a specific cell phone number? Is that something that already exists? Is that something that you're thinking about? And maybe help me better understand that.
Well, it's part of the reason that we are focusing on Mumbai and Manila, because we think that a lot of the information infrastructure is already there in those cities, but it is, if we wanted to expand, something that we would have to implement ourselves. But in our core cities, that's already in place. And sorry, Venki, you know about the database?
Yeah, it's the Right to Information Act in India. So if you have to access any database or anything, it's easier to access it. And the government is really helpful for that. So that is the reason we were targeting Mumbai and Manila.
I just want to say that I really like your idea. I think you're solving a global problem and something that's very prevalent here in the United States as well. My one question is regarding the method of text messaging. Because the two countries that you're focusing on, the rates for text messaging are really high. And so have you thought about using other platforms to circumvent that? Because by them receiving these messages, it's going to drive up their phone bills pretty significantly.
I think for our idea, right, because we want to serve this more as a public good, so this will be something that the government adopts, and by that virtue, this will likely be a toll-free number where they can send messages to report on potential acts of traffic corruption or to just get more information on their rights and the laws and not have to pay any kind of text messaging charges.
We did initially look at using data and having a specialized app for this, which would, of course, be completely free. But the question was, does everyone in our target countries have access to data or the internet enough to be able to use that? So that's why we decided to go for the text message route.
You might be able to use WhatsApp.
That's exactly what I was thinking, doing a chatbot on WhatsApp or Messenger.
People know that, yeah.
But I think because we really wanted to do that, but we didn't want to just use technology for technology's sake, because using such stuff, like in countries such as India and the Philippines, it's not as widespread as perhaps a country such as the US. And so we really wanted to provide a service that can be applicable to anyone who gets stopped on the road. Yeah, so that's our
And many
idea.
poor people in these countries do not have smartphones. They don't even afford it. So
You should look into WhatsApp. It was actually built for feature phones, not for smartphones.
Oh,
and,
yeah, yeah.
and no one
Yeah.
uses it in the United States. They only use it in
Yes.
countries around the world. So, so it is a possible platform. Have you guys thought about whether this is a nonprofit or a business?
We would say that it's actually a for-profit idea, but it will be mainly based on collaboration with the governments. So it's something that we will not be paying out of our own pockets for, but working with governments, we may be able to make this a revenue-generating company, but just for the purpose of, it's more of like a social entrepreneurship kind of initiative, rather than something that we want to get a lot out of for ourselves.
The only other piece that I would be interested in as you talk to potential users is understanding the issue around them self-reporting and anonymity and concern about retaliation and being it being linked with them and their record and their license that they did report, and how anonymity would play into this and the drive for greater transparency.
Well, it's something that is core to our business model canvas. We didn't focus on it, but we would have to be kind of an almost buffer between the governments and the citizens. So this is part of the reason we would be in place rather than the government doing it themselves, because we offer that level of anonymizing information and providing that guarantee to people.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, we're Nightfix. My name is Mona Patwa. I'm a student at Yale University entering my second year, and this is Ling Ye and Elaine Shen. So let me ask you guys a question. How many of you really cherish a good night's sleep? Probably all of you, right? But do you imagine that there could be something happening subconsciously that could lead to the difference between the top picture and the one at the bottom? The difference is something that occurs to about 92% of us, teeth grinding, commonly known in the clinical world as bruxism. 31% of people on average suffer from chronic teeth grinding or chronic bruxism, which means that it lasts for a year or two or even more. It happens to many of us, but the current problem is that diagnosis as well as actual treatment plans are difficult to obtain and difficult to manage. In addition, bruxism is about more than just the damaging appearance you saw in the first few slides. It has a multitude of long-lasting health effects. As you can see in the circle right there, users who reported on this survey with bruxism said that they were more likely to have less hours of sleep, which significantly impacts their quality of life. In addition, they reported awakening at night, insomnia, and frequent migraines that could last throughout the course of their bruxism episode. So what we're seeing is that bruxism is negatively impacting these people's lives. And Nightfix is trying to solve that. We're trying to solve the gap between diagnosis and treatment by making diagnosis quick and efficient. Currently, dentists complain that it's difficult to diagnose bruxism because it can only be detected when a patient comes into the office, and the damage is already done. And so we're trying to make diagnosis effective and affordable. So we're trying to make a low-cost, comfortable wearable that any user can wear and that it can effectively detect bruxism rapidly and effectively. So we started off with our business model canvas. We decided that the main value we would be creating was cheap, affordable detection and therefore a higher chance of a better quality of life for these individuals. You can see our customer segments originally were dentists as well as medical device firms that could potentially license the product. But in order to test our BMC, we did a number of customer interviews ranging from dentists to medical school professors who gave us valuable information about the viability as well as the potential other technology we could use, which would be an EMG. We also contacted reps from medical device firms who told us that typically they license this product to physicians as well as college students who agreed that teeth grinding was an issue and that they would be willing to find a solution, adding viability to our product idea. So we edited our business model canvas, making sure that our values were staying strong, and adding a new business model, which would mean licensing it to medical device firms who would then be able to distribute it to a number of dentists and oral surgeons, expanding the reach of our product. We started off with our original MVP, which had an accelerometer, which I'm going to show you right now, that rested inside this small box that would latch onto your chin and be attached by a sticky tape. And it would be connected with a wire to a USB cable, which would transfer that data to a Python and Arduino coded program, which would detect your amount of bruxism to an 87% accuracy rate. But because the medical school professors had told us that an EMG was something already on the market, we decided to test that too. You can see it on the end here. And we actually found that it wasn't as accurate as detecting the motions of people's chins. And so we developed more confidence in our original accelerometer-based program. We also knew that people wanted extra comfort and design elements, so we purchased this sleep band that's normally used for sleep apnea and breathing problems. It goes around your head, And many of our users said that it was way more comfortable, way more easier to sleep in. And we 3D printed a smaller lid to increase the bulkiness on your chin. We conducted 15 trials of our product on 5 different people, and the main feedback we got was that comfort was key, but they were also able to say that they had more faith in the dental industry because of the 87% accuracy rate. And many of those users have actually gone on to seek treatment before the damage is done. We also created a software interface that in the future can be used for patients and dentists to use the information to make better treatment decisions. And so we edited our final solution sketch. What we decided to do moving forward is to, again, decrease the size of our product, increasing comfort as much as possible. We're working with 3D printing labs right now. And we want to eventually license it to medical device firms who can mass distribute it and who've said that we could collaborate with physicians to increase the innovative capacity of our product. And hopefully our end result is that we'll make patients happy and improve diagnostic tools so that before the damage is done, they know about this condition they have and we can help them solve it. Thank you.
We can show them the products.
Yeah.
That's really, really impressive. Wonderful work. I think it's a problem that certainly heard about in many different cases and people across all sorts of different age and socioeconomic issues. So clearly a massive market that you're going after. I love the fact that you guys actually went out and did the work in terms of getting early prototypes done, thinking about the software component as well, which I think is really powerful, and looking at distribution channels. So kudos to all the check boxes that you guys have hit there. Really impressive. A quick question, in some of the customer development conversations you had with the dentists and some of the distribution channels, what was the feedback that you got? Are there other competitive products out there right now? Are other folks working on this? What does that look like?
So there are bruxism detection materials on the market, but they use the EMG technology, which makes it not only more expensive, but what we found in our trials and in numerous medical studies, less accurate, because EMGs are meant for larger movements or for brain
What's
waves.
an EMG?
EMG stands for an electrogram, basically. So it's when electric waves are being transmitted or any sort of movement is being
Can you give us
transmitted.
an idea of sort of what the footprint of that or the mouth print of that looks like? Is it something you wear on your face?
Oh,
or
like
what
the
does it look
device?
like?
Yeah, so we actually have it right here. So basically, here's our EMG right here. And the way it would be is you'd have the device right here.
We can
you'd
show
have
you
this.
the prototype that we already
Yeah.
printed out.
Sure, you could wear it if you'd like.
Yeah, you would tape it. So normally what we would do is we just use a skin tape to kind of latch it onto your cheek.
That's theirs, not yours.
Yeah, so this is an EMG we bought,
Yes.
but we're the ones who hooked it up and did all the wire and the coding.
One thing I didn't quite get was, will yours, I didn't mean to interrupt you in the middle of the question, but will yours look just like this? How will yours look different? I never got an idea of what yours would look like.
So I can clarify a little. So since we tested the EMG and it didn't work as well, we're not going to continue with our EMG, but our actual accelerometer device, before, it did look like this. It's the same container. It's latched onto your chin with a sticky tape. And the other option that we developed during this program is that you have the device latched into this corner right here. It goes around your face kind of like that, all the way around.
So
it's more
when you talk to
comfortable.
people, did they express willingness to actually wear that to sleep?
We had to convince them because it's a matter of their sleep, it's their private time, they don't want to wear something bulky. But when they actually wore it and we interviewed them after, they said, hey, it's actually comfortable, it's pretty soft, you can touch it.
The intention of wearing it is not for actual treatment, though. It's just for diagnosis.
Yes.
So in theory, you're wearing it once and then you're done.
Yeah, so we try to do 2 to 3 nights to make sure we're the most accurate possible. And what that does is, even if you have the slightest hint, like maybe your spouse is telling you, hey, I think you grind your teeth, you immediately know with 87% accuracy that this is a problem I have. And then before your teeth look like that image we showed you, you can go to the dentist or even a drugstore, buy a night guard, and solve the problem right there and
So
then.
people only need this once in their lifetime, really?
Can I answer this?
Yeah, sure.
So first of all, we encourage them to feel about the pain. So a lot of people are actually suffering from teeth grinding. So, and then secondly, we're trying to combine the sensor with a daily sleeping mask. So we're not just building something for diagnosis. We're trying to combine the technology into an actual tool that helps you improve your sleeping quality, as well as like when you're enjoying the sleeping and using an actual product, you will have this function with the sensor to help you diagnose the bruxism. And that's our goal by developing this idea and product.
Would it be possible to eventually have it embedded into the mouth guard that people would wear anyway?
Yeah, so we've explored that possibility. One thing we're working on is if we can get that chip size down. Like right now it's in this container, it's about this big. If we can get that down to about 1/4 of the size. We've talked to some people who were responsible for Invisalign's innovation, and they said that, yeah, we can make this waterproof, so it can be small enough to go onto like 4 or 5 teeth, which is enough to determine whether you're grinding your teeth. And then that goes wirelessly through our Python program, immediately analyzes the results. So that's something we're working on. It's just an engineering obstacle right now.
The next step, I think we will be talking to the companies that actually have developed these products, these wearable products for people to cure bruxism. So what we will do is we will introduce the technology for diagnosis, and then we want to combine the products that's already in the market. So instead of redeveloping a brand new product, we hope to refine the technology by having the diagnosis and treatment functions together. So wearing one device, you will be able to know whether you have teeth grinding problems, and then you will be able to cure it.
It turns out to be notoriously hard to get people to actually wear things in the best of circumstances when they're sleeping even more. Is it possible to detect bruxism by sound?
So we've read a bunch of papers on the sound component of teeth grinding. The issue is that it's difficult because people make a lot of sounds with their mouth throughout the day, throughout the night, and it's just, there would be a lower accuracy rate. But the way we're tackling the problem of people not wanting to wear these things is by getting dentists to tell their patients, like when they come in for their 3-month, 6-month checkup, hey, okay, it's been a while since we've done a major checkup. Why don't you take this home, wear it for 2 nights. I promise you it'll be really good for your long-term health. And that way they have that dentist stamp of approval and they're more likely to.
So you would sell to dentists, not to end users?
Yes, just basically we're selling it to the medical treatment services, surgeries, instead of directly to the patients, so they know how to distribute the products better than us.
So how is the data shared with the dentist?
Oh, do you mean like how do we tell them about?
Yeah, so your chip or whatever is collecting information. And I saw your app, but that's for the customer. So how is the dentist getting that information?
So the app would actually be for dentists as well. So we have a computer version of it. Right now it's a program that tells you the results. But our goal is that that app and the dentist computer screen are connected. And so the dentist would also get the report in the morning that, okay, patient number 1 wore your device and there's a 90% chance that they have bruxism. So the dentist is getting the same information on a different interface.
I have one more thing to add on to that. So like basically, I think Internet of Things like healthcare devices are one of the future. So basically what we're gonna have is like get the data on the cloud. I mean, like there are a lot of like database holders, so we just get it on Amazon Web Service or something like that, and then we can have a automated machine that's like automatically send the information to the dentist. If you want it we can have like 2 apps. One is like user-based, one is dentist-based, and also we can have the thing is that you can get a message through like social media about like the thing as well. So it's like we have a lot of possibility on that, but now we're focusing on developing the device first and improve the accuracy.
We're definitely consider adding sound check maybe as a factor that how we consider the symptoms are being diagnosed. Yeah.
So not to answer now, because I know we need to wrap up, but in a presentation like this with something, I'd want to hear about the regulatory pathway and what that approval and hurdles look like.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
jumping up and waving.
This is okay.
Yeah, just come on, let's make a roll.
Hello, everyone. Imagine that you, your closest friend, your kid, is living in a constant fear of not being able to breathe. And there is no way you can help them. That's exactly mine and Magic's case. Our close ones, our loved ones, are affected by incurable chronic disease called asthma. So, we want to solve this problem for them and for 200 million people around the world. And asthma is the third most common chronic condition in the world, just after cancer and heart diseases. And its prevalence is drastically increasing, and it will reach around 400 million people in the next 10 years, according to WHO. Also, around 250,000 people die each year because of asthma, and 90% of these cases could have been avoided. So why they are not? Because diagnosis and treatment process sucks. Yeah, doctors are prescribing the same medications with the same doses to every patient. And also, they're using the same system of, they're using the same method of tracking symptoms of their patients for the past 20 years. But technology have definitely advanced by these 20 years. So we, as UBreathe, saw this as the amazing opportunity to use this technology investments. We are going to use wearable devices, which are already on the market and are able to track symptoms and vital signs of patients affected by asthma. We are going to create our own mobile application, which is able to store and analyze data about what, where, and why triggered your symptoms. And finally, we want to create a platform for the physician, so he will be able to track all of the data, have all the history of the patient data, and come up with the better treatment process. And that's all. Put it together, creates asthma management system for asthma people to help them to have a normal life.
Thanks to our solution, patients would no longer have to worry about remembering or writing down their symptoms. When they come to the physician could skip the time-consuming interview with patient about his symptoms because he already has all of the information provided by our system. It will make the visit up to 30% shorter and way more effective. Also, on the basis of that data, physician can come up with a way better, more personalized treatment plan, thanks to which patient will finally stop suffering from unexpected asthma attacks. When it comes to the hospitals, due to the current changes in healthcare regulation, more and more hospitals are moving from the fee-per service to the fee-per-value system, which means they will no longer charge patients for the amount of appointments, but for the actual improvement in their health condition. And our system is positively contributing to that change, because with UBreathe, asthma control may be achieved with smaller amount of visits, and it will also hugely improve the health condition of people affected by it. When it comes to a revenue model, we are going to charge hospitals monthly fee per each patient using our system. You can ask, how did we come up with the solution? Why is this problem really so big? So we talked to 82 people over the past couple of weeks closely related to that problem. We talked to physicians, patients, parents of children severely suffering from asthma. And this experience helped us to come up with the really deep understanding of the problem and know how to solve it. Our competitors are either mobile applications, which require manual entry of symptoms, or medical devices that can track a symptom automatically, but can only be one symptom. But we don't want to do either of those things. What we want to do instead is combine both of these solutions, because we believe that only by tracking multiple symptoms fully automatically, we can provide physicians with the complete picture of this disease and truly improve the diagnosis and treatment process. And this is what UBreathe is. But at the end, the most important thing, because UBreathe is not only an idea, we already started testing it. in Poland, where we started this project, we are currently supported by the two biggest asthma associations. And in cooperation with them and some of the top pulmonologists, we're launching the clinical trials of our system's prototype on 100 patients. The purpose of this trial is to see if the data which we're gathering is accurate enough and helpful for the physicians to actually come up with the better medical decisions. And if they are, then we believe that with our team, we can truly improve lives of millions of people affected by asthma and give them opportunity to have a normal life. Thank you very much.
Shall I? Am I to understand that to collect this data, you need to wear an Apple Watch or something? You must wear an Apple Watch, is that right?
Yes, exactly. First, we were thinking about building our own hardware. We even have a person who started developing that. But then we realized that there are hundreds of millions of people that already have their wearable devices, like Apple Watch, like Xiaomi, or like Fitbit. And those already have pretty good, they can measure a lot of vital signs. And with help of our software, we can actually be able to track really a lot of the symptoms that are important for doctors to create the whole picture of the disease.
So what data are you going to give doctors, and is there are all the devices that you mentioned tracking that data?
So the precise data that we're giving him is first of all the things that those devices measure. So it's like heart rate, it's quality of sleep, and it's the last thing is physical activity. But then we can correlate it with the asthma attacks, which we also have an idea how to very easily and without time-consuming process from the patient side track. And by combining all of this information, also the environmental factors, which we will be tracking from other services, really combining all of that, create this complete picture. So there are very many particular symptoms that are important for the physician. We can track all of them at the beginning, but we can start adding more and more. And for sure, we can do it way better than the current solutions on the market, which can, as far as I remember, track 2 or 3 the most with their solutions.
The current solution relies on a patient's memory of over the past 3 to 4 months. By using our technology, or by using the information we gathered through these devices, we can actually give the doctors a more precise picture of what's happening.
Have doctors told you that the information that you're talking about gathering is the information they need? Or are they going to have to sort of look at that information and figure out how to turn it, or that data, and turn it into knowledge that they can use?
Yeah, so I think the best answer to that is the fact that actually doctors that we talked to, especially the younger ones who can see the potential in the technology, were really excited that we're doing such a thing. And as I mentioned, back in Poland, when we came to having almost nothing, came to the biggest asthma associations and to the top pulmonologists, they were really excited to help us launch the clinical trials, and which is pretty unique. Usually for such a trials, they're required huge sums of money for the pharmaceutical companies. And we are able to do it fully for free, because we were able to find doctors who are excited and believing in that idea, also patients who feel such a strong need. So even though this system is super not convenient right now to use, it's a MVP mashed of different third-party devices and applications, we really found people passionate to help us. So I think it's the best indicator that actually they need such information.
Have there been questions? I would think one of the key pieces of data that the doc would want is oxygen level versus heart rate. And I don't know if there's any of these devices measure oxygen level, but I would think that's a pretty key component on the asthma front.
Yeah, that's actually a great question. And what we started doing was developing our own device, which to have the oxygenometer, I think it's called, to measure the oxygen in blood. But then we realized that we are trying to take the too big chunk of the whole problem, which is a huge problem, and that's why there are so many companies trying to solve it and trying to figure out. So that's true, that having this factor, it will be way easier, and for doctors it will be way more valuable. And especially we could target also another huge pulmonology disease, which also affects a huge amount of people. But this data, of course, it will be great to have this information about oxygen level, but all of the other that we're tracking right now are also building the great picture. And also what is really important, And what maybe we're not emphasizing enough, that all of the solutions are kind of like gadgets for a patient or devices only for the physician that can be used when the patient comes to the doctor's office. And we put a huge emphasis of connecting those two, because the patient cannot do anything with the data, no matter how great they are when they are collected. And physician also, but the physician can when we connect both of them. So that's the biggest emphasis on which we're trying to put effort.
Is oxygenation, however, the single most important data point that they're looking for?
Oxygen level?
Oxygen level.
What do you think? I think that the amount of attacks, asthma attacks, and the symptoms are the most important factor. Oxygen level is also very important.
But the wearables aren't going to measure those, are they?
Excuse me?
The wearables are not going to measure those.
Oxygen level? No, actually.
The attacks.
For now, we are doing it half automatically. So the wearable, it only requires one click on to tell the wearable that patient had an asthma attack, which is instantly correlated with the localization, trying to see the environmental factors in that particular place that could have triggered this attack. But we also have some really good ideas how in the first months from the launch start fully automatizing that. But it will be really hard it was really hard for us to narrow down to the key things that the app should have, that the system should have for the minimal version. So we had to cut off the things that will be harder and for which we have to have more resources to add. But that will be really great if that will be possible to do fully automatically.
Great. You guys mentioned that when you were looking at the revenue model, you were looking at charging hospitals on a per patient basis. What sort of validation did you get around that model, around kind of what those price points might look like, and how long they're willing to and what their desires to engage around that model?
Mm-hmm. That's a very interesting question, because we already put lately, especially, a big amount of time to figure out how to exactly monetize it. But this is, we can say, our guess. And the way we came up with it is we looked at the current other solutions similar for other diseases, and we talked to many entrepreneurs developing such a systems. We also have on our advisory board a lady who is doing such a thing right now in China and in the US for diabetes. So this was the one point, trying to think out how to do it. And also second one was we already get the response from 2 hospitals that they would be willing to pay for, unfortunately, it's not the data from US, it's from Europe, but that they will be willing to pay for such a thing if in the clinical trials, which is here a critical thing, we will show that it's actually helpful and accurate. So that's the very most important part.
Yeah, there was a company in our last batch that did something very, very similar for seizures, and saw a lot of success with that. So definitely seeing the model work.
Oh, that'll be great. We will love to look them and see how they are solving that.
So I have a question about the technology of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have asthma, but if someone's in the midst of an attack, would they remember to open up an app and tap or do whatever is required to alert your system that they're having an asthma attack? Because it seems, from what I've seen when growing up, you're afraid you're going to die because you can't breathe.
Yeah,
so
sure.
How did your focus group say that would happen, or how would they react to that?
Mm-hmm. So we want to minimize the problem, how problematic it is for patient. Right now, for him, is that he has to take out the asthma journal and write it down. Our way is to do it that he will only have to click a button on the wearable, which is still not perfect solution. And we already have ideas how to add the enhanced asthma inhaler to that process, so it will automatically send information to the app that the attack is happening. But for now, that's true. It still requires a little bit of the work for patient, but we think that just clicking it and then everything is marked down in the application is way easier than the current way of doing that.
So you would do it after the attack then?
Just instantly or after. We will still probably see. We have to, after finalizing those clinical trials, we have to talk to patients about what is the most problematic for them, how would they see the potential to change it and to make it easier for them, and that will for sure give us a huge feedback on how to exactly architect that thing.
We've been talking about patients pretty generally. Are you guys thinking about whether you're going to target kids older, like teenagers, grown-ups? How are you thinking about that?
Exactly. So for now, we see the biggest potential in actually helping people that really are suffering and can't control this disease in any way. Those would be the 18% of people most severely affected by it. And we really believe that we can help them the most. But also we see huge potential for expanding for other groups, like 40% of the asthma population, which are not so severely affected, but they are also suffering from the unexpected attacks. And also we see huge potential in kids, but it's kind of harder at the beginning, especially in clinical trials and the regulation. But we get a great feedback from many parents of asthma kids who would love to know, as actually like my mom, because my younger brother is severely affected by asthma, and I still remember when I was younger, my brother was even younger, and my mom was just going crazy when he was going for a camp or somewhere else because she didn't know what's going on with him. So we see huge potential in children affected by asthma and their parents, but for sure it will be a little bit harder, so we leave it as the next step. Now we focus on adults that are really severely affected by it. And also there are no wearables for kids as far as we know right now, so we will have to develop our own hardware.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everyone.
I just want to preface this by saying that everyone whose phone numbers we have for our demo, like, please get your phones out and get ready to text. Okay.
It starts.
Okay. Hi, I'm Linda, and this is our team, Rendezvous. We're here to make package delivery more efficient. It all started with Dev, one of the grad students here at Stanford. He was about to receive a package from his mom in India. The package meant a lot to him, as I'm sure you can relate. However, he was not at home to receive the package when it arrived, so it was dropped outside his door. Then, the package was stolen. Now, San, one of the members of our team, heard the story, and so here we are. After conversations with delivery men, we've realized that the problem lies in the last mile of the delivery process. Up to 70% of people are not at home to receive their packages. Now, imagine John, a delivery man at FedEx. He goes up to Dev's apartment and he knocks. No response. Now he has two choices. He can either take the package and go back and try again another day, but this leads to high reverse logistics costs and a decrease in efficiency for the delivery company. Or he could simply drop the package in front of Dev's apartment, but this exposes the package to theft. This means that no one is happy.
In our first business model canvas, our primary customer segment was students residing in university campuses. We were looking to build an app that would create a network of students who could sign and collect packages for each other, thereby ensuring the safety of the package being delivered. Our key partners were large package delivery companies and the student community residing in university campuses. Our journey has been one that has been defined by one word: change. We started our campaign by sketching a package collection app for students. However, that bubble burst when the first student we spoke to told us that he didn't give nuts about the problem, followed by 30 of the 44 other students to whom we spoke to in week 2. In week 3, we went outside campus and spoke to around 40 random people, and we observed that the residents of the area really valued the problem, and that their prime concerns with respect to package delivery was safety, certainty, and timing. In week 4, we spoke to 19 operational managers of third-party logistics companies and realized that they were the ones who would actually pay us for solving the problem and not the users. Thus, in week 5, we changed our business model to B2B, built our MVP version 2.0, and set out to find one third-party logistics company that would try out our MVP with one delivery man for 1 hour. We spoke to FedEx, UPS, USPS, Deliv, Shippy, Shippo, Amazon, and 7 other delivery startups. But we were not successful in getting any one of them to try our MVP. However, in week 6, we went back to all of them for feedback that has helped us evolve our product and chart our way into week 7, where we are. Boom. In summary, we have had a total of 168 customer conversations and built 3 versions of our MVP. Oh, you can change it. All of these have brought us to our current BMC number, business model canvas number 5. Our primary customer segment is third-party logistics companies. We look to start with the delivery startups and then later move on to the delivery giants. We help them ensure safety, certainty, and timing to the users while reducing cost and increasing efficiency in their operations. We look to do this in partnership with them in an environment of co-creation where we tailor our product to their dynamic market. Our key partners, apart from the third-party logistics companies, are industry, data, and software experts. The key activities that we look to do in the short term are to field test our MVP, gather feedback, tailor our product, and repeat this process until we achieve product market fit.
Okay, and now I'll show you guys a live demo of our MVP. Okay, so here it is. Basically, this is designed for delivery men. The idea is that every morning, the delivery man uploads his schedule here, like so, and our system processes it. And displays the information like so. So for each customer, we display the name, address, phone number, and a calculated estimated time of delivery. So in this case, some of you in the audience are our delivery customers, and you'll be receiving packages today. So the delivery man can press this button and request a status, and this sends a text message to all of your phones asking whether you'll be home to receive the package today. So then you can reply with several options, depending on these options, the delivery man can selectively either deliver the package in person, leave it by your door, leave it with a neighbor, or skip you entirely if you're simply not home. So this shows up in real time, and basically this optimizes delivery for everyone.
We rendezvous help the delivery men sprint through the last mile of the package delivery. Thank you.
I think we've, excuse me, love seeing how you guys dug in and the big audacious goal of getting a delivery company to try your app or your approach is a great goal to have had. The question that I'm ending with at the end is, what actually does the delivery guy do differently with this than if you just didn't answer the door, if you weren't there?
At the moment, you just get an email at the end of the day that they try to deliver your package. And what we do is we send you a notification up front, so you know exactly what time it
So basically, it gives people a chance to be home if they're able to be.
Exactly.
Okay.
It gives them a choice to choose, like what they want with the package, whether it should be delivered or whether they should come some other time or whether they should drop it at someone else's place. So it gives a choice to the customer.
Can they communicate directly with the driver? Is there back and forth kind of allowed through the system, or is it mostly just a one-way response that then they kind of process appropriately?
If you can answer this, the delivery man kind of have around say around 150 to 200 packages to deliver a day on average. So the delivery man communicating with the people live, in real time, I'm not able to recognize how realistic that could be. However, there is the possibility that we could use chatbots to work out that function.
It sounds like what you're doing is sort of taking over the delivery job, the delivery company's responsibility to give you actually a reasonable window of delivery. Because once you do that, of course, the chance of actually making that delivery work will be much higher, right? Do I have that right?
Yes.
How is it that you are able to figure out what a window of delivery is and the delivery company can't?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat it?
So if I understand correctly, you're going to give the driver a series of people and the window of delivery for their package.
Yeah.
How do you know how do you figure out the logistics of how he's driving, when he's going to get to someplace, and how come you know it and the delivery company does not know it?
Yeah, so most delivery companies, they're actually spending millions of dollars on developing route planning softwares, and the route planning softwares are getting efficient day by day, and our product will be an add-on to the route planning software, which thereby goes on to boost efficiency on the, which thereby goes on to boost efficiency as a whole. So this is an add-on to the route planning software which the delivery companies have.
But aren't you planning the route by giving delivery windows to these folks?
The delivery windows actually define the route.
Yeah, the idea is that we'll be able to get delivery windows from them by working with them.
So you're really just facilitating sharing the existing delivery window with the customer, and then the customer on their own making a choice as to whether to try to be there or not.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically trying to bridge the communication gap between the two parties.
Just as a point of feedback, you can sense a little bit of confusion on our part as to exactly what your product is. So as you continue to evolve your discussion of what the product is, I think we're finding a little bit more carefully what you're doing, because I'm still not actually clear whether you're creating the delivery window or whether they're giving you the delivery window and you're merely giving it to the customer and the driver.
Yeah, they're giving us the delivery window, and we are basically bridging the communication gap between the two parties. They are giving us the delivery window.
So only FedEx delivers almost 6.8 billion packages in a year, and mostly 7% of the packages are taken back by the delivery man because they don't know the person is not at the home or problems like that. So we are aiming, that is our market. We are trying to reduce that problem.
How do you guys feel about the sort of the locker solution to this problem that people like Amazon and there's been a bunch of startup companies that are trying to do this? You know, we've actually funded a couple to do things like BufferBox, and so Google bought them. So they're trying to put lockers in 7-Elevens and around the world. So you just say, I want my package delivered to this locker, and then you don't have to worry about it getting dropped off when you're not there.
Yeah, one problem with the locker system is real estate. If you take Palo Alto, that is pretty costly. So, I mean, we are kind of reducing that cost, and we are breeding we are turning out to be a generation that is that has a major time constraint. So I guess people would like this better than them going to the locker and picking packages.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have financial worries? Have you ever applied for a scholarship? Well, think back on all the frustrations you faced when applying. Fundic is your solution. We are a group of students from China, Singapore, Canada, and Hong Kong who are studying in the US and Europe.
We have experienced the expensive tuition fees and high living cost of studying abroad, and that is exactly why we want to help solve these problems for you. Some initial assumptions were that students are not aware of all these scholarship opportunities out there. Even if they are, most of them do not have the time to finish the application. In many cases, students are just too put off by the tedious and repetitive application processes.
So for our first business model, we'll be targeting high school graduates and undergraduate students from the US and the UK. Our value proposition for the students is to allow you to access private scholarship information, compare across the scholarships, match you according to your qualifications, and finally allow you to apply through a centralized platform for easier scholarship application.
We have surveyed over 30 students who have expressed their interest in scholarship and found out that the problems they face can be summarized into 4 main categories. The 2 largest ones confirmed our initial assumptions on time and awareness. However, we surprisingly found out that many international students have actually intentionally avoided applying to financial aid due to the fear that it will lower their chances of getting in. From the Stanford Admission and Financial Aid Center, we learned that Stanford is actually not need blind for international students, which is representative of most private colleges in the US. And this is a big finding. International students make up a huge segment in both economic and industrial ecosystems here in the US. And so if we could help them solve all their financial worries, then it would really help enhance the economic cycle. So furthermore, we have also learned from the Stanford admission that they also suggest a scholarship platform called Big Future to students who did not receive enough financial aid from Stanford. For us, this could be a potential future marketing tour. And furthermore, upon further research, we learned that Stanford, there is already a lot of scholarship platforms out there. However, not many students we surveyed have actually heard about these scholarship platforms. So we think that there is a huge disconnect between the market and the customer segment. And that is why we pivoted our direction towards specifically targeting international students. And here, this is an email from Vengage, one of the 20 scholarship providers we reached out to. They told us that they do submit their information on international sites in order to increase the number of international applicants. And so which, again, confirmed our value propositions for the scholarship providers.
So throughout the last 7 weeks, we went through 3 minimum viable products. For the first one, we ourselves acted as a platform and asked students to submit their strengths and interests so that we could match them to the scholarships. This was met with great interest, so we next created a Facebook page that will allow us to reach out to a greater pool of audience. Over the past week, we had more than 130 views, and we also received individual message inquiries about our services. So we finally created a demonstration website to showcase some of the key functions. Again, we had a lot of responses from both students and parents, as well as valuable feedback for improvement.
So now, our current solution sketch. It is a web-based platform that simplifies your application process. However, it is not merely a simple searching and matching service. It also sorts all the information from scholarships, and it sorts the information by the chances of you winning them. So right now, the platform also aims to reduce repetition so that students only need to submit their basic information once for all the scholarships you apply to.
Now, our latest business model aims specifically at international students studying at the UK or the US who are interested in applying for private scholarships. So for private scholarships, we are pretty much seeking out for help from companies like Vengage and also Silicon Valley community foundations. And particularly, we are seeking help from these companies so we can actually get a scholarship from them and actually help more international students to fulfill their dreams. Traveling to SAT testing places and also university fair events in Asia can also be our next stop in customer discovery. Do you have financial worries now? Beat the odds on scholarship with us, Fundig. Thank you so much.
Cool. This is really, really powerful. I think being able to solve this problem for folks internationally and domestically is a massive and worthy problem to solve. So really excited by that. A couple of just maybe product-related questions. I'll dive in there. You had mentioned that you're trying to remove and make time, reduce the time to be able to fill out these things and make it much easier, which I think makes a lot of sense, and bringing efficiency is great. With the applications, are you able to actually start to fill out those applications? Are these web-based forms? Are these paper-based forms? Are they phone interviews? How are you able to kind of remove that friction and ease that burden? So that's one kind of core question, and then would love to better understand a bit more how you're thinking about marketing. You talked briefly about some of the things there, but curious to learn more about that.
Yes.
Okay, so basically, for the marketing segment, we'll be going to like universities in maybe Asia, where there's like a lot of international students who wish to come to US and to the UK. So there'll be like a huge customer segment there, and we can go to the university fairs there, as well as the SAT testing centers, where we know that there'll be students interested in going overseas. So that is one. And also, we'll be reaching out, of course, online through Facebook and Chinese communication platforms like WeChat.
Yeah. And then so for the application simplification process, so a lot of the scholarship right now, they are asking students to fill out a standard form on their website in order to be entered into the scholarship and acquire more information. So we're helping the students to get rid of this one process right now, right here, so that they don't need to fill all those same questions. For example, GPA, your school, and your major and stuff. The ones that Google Chrome doesn't register for those. Yeah.
So essentially, what you're creating is like a common app for scholarships. Is that what it is?
In some aspects, yeah. That's
so what does your revenue model look like, or your financial model?
Okay, so the first, so with our first proposition is that we can make it a freemium, and so by asking students to pay to get past winners' essays on these scholarships, we can help generate our revenue. And then on the other side, we are trying to reach out to those small companies who are already giving out scholarships for essays. In order to increase their brand awareness, we can also ask them to come to our platform and put their information on our website.
So your app itself will be free to use.
Yes,
like
the
version of the app.
basics
So it's
of
a
it.
combination of sponsorships and access to previously successful applications.
Yeah.
That is
And
so-
also there will be a lot of room available for ads as well, especially a lot of products that maybe they want to target students. We can have some advertising there to generate revenue.
How will you convince the folks who have those successful apps to actually post them publicly on your site?
We have actually asked one student who is one of my friends, and then he applied and got actually 70,000 these little scholarships in total. But he said that if he could, because this is a one-time thing, and that if he could help other students to get more scholarships, he would totally do that.
So I encourage you to check out a site called Admitsi, which has a sort of similar model for applications to U.S. colleges. Just they allow you to actually get access. They actually pay to get access to successful profiles of kids who got into Stanford. They actually pay the kids to put them on. So you might find that you need to create some incentives other than goodwill to put them on.
That's great.
There's another company called Study Soup, which has done this with College Notes, and they're another one that has used a paid model, which is working really well.
You also might want to check out Scholly, which is a company that connects people to students to scholarships. They were on Shark Tank last year, I think, or 2 years ago.
I mean, we're targeting specifically international students, so that we think that's a big undermined customer segment. So.
There is one thing we also want to emphasize, that we are going to partner with some of the QA forums to collect your answers when you be active on the QA forums, which will help your future scholarship applications and save you the bunch of time that you spend to answer their particular questions, which means if you spend time helping people over the internet and try to explain, for example, math questions for the younger people, you will have credit for that as well.
I assume China is by far your biggest market. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, definitely.
So you say international, but it's really China because they dominate and the kids coming over, right?
I mean, there are a lot of students from India and also other countries, in Asian countries mostly. We really want a chance to go abroad to reach out more resources, but then we don't really get the opportunity.
Do you have a sense of putting your arms around how many various scholarships there are? If you could somehow collect them all in one place, which is a huge need and a great idea, how many are there?
There's actually a very huge market out there, and as I said before, there's already many scholarship platforms, searching platforms. So when we were doing our market research, we went on those platforms, and for example, it's just type in one criteria, for example, real estate, and then they'll give you at least 100 of them.
They're available to international students too.
Available, not to international students, but.
That's my question. So how many, is it 30 or is it 300 or 3,000 various scholarships are out there for international students to apply for?
Yeah, for your information, if the criteria is Chinese students want to study in the United States in the area of accounting, there will be more than 400 scholarships. So, but if you want to narrow the criteria to be private scholarship providers, there will be about 150.
150 scholarships per year? I mean, for this to be a viable business, you need providers. I guess for this to be, I guess the interesting number is the actual number. I think that's what Lindy was going for. Of students each year who could get a scholarship, because that has to be in the many thousands for this to be an interesting business, right?
Yeah, currently we have around 200,000 students come to United States for college education when graduated after high schools. So they are not, because we talk about they don't want to apply for scholarship because they fear that their chance to get into college will be lowered if they apply for one. But they were out of Chinese people actually want to help these students and they don't have a formal way. So when create this platform, we will also introduce more scholarship providers rather than the existing one, which will help, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Admit and then SEE.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is William.
I'm Maria. I'm Luisa, and our team Gifton wants to solve a really common problem. Ever had this feeling? So this is Chris, and he doesn't know what to get for his friend's birthday, which is tomorrow. So he asks his other friends, and they're just as clueless. So he asked the birthday girl, Kate, but while she normally wants so many things, she just doesn't say anything. So he gets a present he thinks will be useful, like fancy wine and chocolates, and he hopes she'll like it. But she doesn't, because they're just not items she needs. So gift giving becomes a very painful struggle that doesn't even result in a good present.
And that's where we come in. Our first business model canvas was quite broad and vague. I'll go through the main parts. Our target customers were pretty much all the people who face the trouble of choosing the gift, especially busy people, also people who tend to send in their gifts to their friends and family members because they're far away from each other, and also people who are tired of receiving the gifts they don't like. In order to satisfy those needs, our value proposition was the following. The platform, like a website, that enables receivers to create their wish list and givers to pick up an item from the wish list to share the cost with their friends, and to request the package and delivery on the actual day.
We interviewed over 150 people to better understand gifting habits and troubles. They were so varied, but the common barriers were not knowing what to get, cost, and convenience. So when we proposed a solution, some people were like, I need that right now. And even our mentor, Ryan, was like, where was this 2 weeks ago when I got married? So we also interviewed 3 people who are working on similar ideas. And the thing is that this area is just so vast. So each of them are tackling a different specific problem. And that actually helped us understand this broad issue to focus our solution on one that creates the most impact. So we started simply with an interest form to gauge interest. And we tried to get those people to fill out wish lists, but no one did. So at the same time, we had 2 friends who were going to have a birthday party together. And it was a perfect occasion to test out a manual version of our envisioned product. And it worked out really well. So they used the same wish list, and we also organized the cost sharing via Facebook chat. And as you can see, everyone was so eager to share the cost because social pressure was huge. So they were so eager to share the presents that we kind of unintentionally made some profits. But the thing is, for this to be scalable, it had to be digital. So we knew that wish lists were the key barrier. So how do we make wish lists fun, convenient, and easy? So some people have wish lists on Pinterest and Amazon, but those take effort. So we got inspired by the very efficient and popular Tinder. And so we did a quick prototype and got some people with very typical American millennial personalities to try it out. And so it went from taking 1 minute to fill up 3 items to 1 minute to fill up 15 items. And it was really fun for them. And that was important because choosing items was so much more fun than listing them out. So putting it all together, we made a video. We could then quickly reach out to people and get feedback on features that would have otherwise taken ages to build. And we put them up on Facebook pages, Reddit, threads that were relevant, and other crowdfunding sites. And this is still ongoing because testing never ends.
So let's look at our business model canvas once again. In yellow are the changes that we made. We eliminated the packaging and delivery part completely and focusing only on the choosing problem. So we narrowed down our target customers to American millennials who not only have troubles to choosing the gift, but also who are ready to try out something new. And also the receivers should be active social network users who are ready to share their wish list. According to this, in our value proposition, the emphasis is on making the process more personal, not to get more personal gifts. And also the Tinder swiping idea is to make it fun. Also, the crucial change happened in our revenue streams. Initially, we thought about adding extra charges to package and delivery, but later on, we decided to focus on 2 main streams. The affiliate programs that tie with our services well, those like Amazon's or eBay's or CJ's, they're really easy to integrate. And also, we will allow brands to offer their products on our wish list. So our solution sketch is the following. Create the wish list in a fun and swiping way. Get a notification in advance, view the list and pick out an item, and share the gift with your friends, and make your friends happy. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do have a BMC for you.
Thank you. Great. So I really love the key insight that you guys had, which was the social pressure is a key driver of activity and getting gifts. Can you maybe speak a little more to that, what you learned from that, and how that's going to manifest in the product?
So the thing was that we had an event, and no one actually suggested anything, proposed anything about getting a gift for the birthday boys. But the moment we initiated it, everyone was really willing because, I guess initiating it takes some organizational hassle, and that's what people from experience probably wanted to avoid. So, but the thing is that once someone was in and another was in, everyone just started going on. And when we asked other people, manually as well, in a group, and people were like, yes, 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 and everyone's just like, yes, and oh, okay, we kind of had too many, but yeah.
So pretty much people, they didn't have time to organize everything because it takes time to finding gifts, go in and buy them. But they were ready to contribute. All of them were ready to contribute because a lot of people have already contributed and they wanted to be a part of it too.
And these are also perfect for friends who are close but not super close, on a relationship level. And they're also really good for cliques. So a lot of people are good friends in cliques, their high school class, their rowing class, and rowing group. And so targeting these communities within the school network would be a really good start to get this thing going. And the key element of how that works is social pressure. Yeah.
So I really enjoyed the way you used the cartoon throughout your presentation.
Thank
I thought
you.
that was a great way of depicting it, and I think we got a clear understanding. I guess my question is, in addition to the social pressure of the buying in, I agree. I'm curious about maybe the opposite of the social pressure, how people feel about putting a wish list out there and their comfort with that and taking that initiative.
Yeah, that's also what we noticed after we tested the first wish list, which was a bit awkward. You had to list your items, and people weren't really comfortable with it. So we know that we really had to get the users to be very trusting, and it had to be very easy. They don't even have to think about it. So that's why we did it with a yes/no, Tinder swiping kind of thing, so that they just look at it, see it, and yes, I want it. Because when we talked to them, we realized that they didn't. If you ask them, what do you want? They say, oh, nothing. But when they see something, then they can say, oh, yes, I want that. So we had to give the suggestions to them in order to provoke that response and for them to yes, I want that. No, I don't want that. Yeah.
So I actually think it's really cool. What from my perspective, what you've done is juxtapose those two different insights. One is the social pressure, and the other is if you can make the creation of the wish list so easy, it's so fun that it doesn't seem kind of icky like it can to create one, then you actually create this virtuous circle where you might get a lot of people to sign up. And there might be a lot of applications for this if you're having a potluck and you just go through and you really quickly create the list of things you want and then send them out to the group. I think you might find that if you actually really built this, you made the social features really powerful, easy to use, maybe not so heavy-handed, like you could invite people to share a gift that you're going to pick that they've already put on the wish list. I think it actually could be pretty powerful. I think it's a great idea.
Thank you.
I hope you build it.
Thank you. It's a great idea. Just a quick question about the social pressure and how that works within the application itself. You were very clear about how it happened on Facebook and illustrating that, but how do you see that happening within the technology that you plan to build?
Okay, so well, the thing is that the actual UX itself, I think we would try to finalize the UX based on like customer data. So we could try out, that will be like our next step. So we can try out different ranges of getting people together. So some ideas we brainstormed were getting people to mark like, I'm interested in sharing a GIF. So you get a whole chat group full of people who are interested in sharing the GIF and they can talk it out there. Or it could be something like they just click, oh yes, I want to share this. And then depending on how many people who get the GIF shared, that's the amount that they have to pay. So that's basically it. But how we as Maria explained earlier, like how we changed from the first business model canvas to the second was that we got rid of all the operations heavy processes. So we're left with the ones that are mainly purely tech, purely software as a service. And so it keeps things simple and we leave all the heavy duty operations to those we outsource. Yeah.
By the way, you could do this for people who don't want gifts but just want charities, and they could go pick lots of charities, and then people could gift to them as well. It's the same social pressure. Good
idea. Like birthday gifts are not the only avenue we want. Like weddings and anniversaries, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas especially.
Christmas,
yes. So all the events, it's just that birthday was easier to explain.
Yeah. That's great. I think, I don't know if you guys have already checked out Tilt, but Tilt is a great...
we're on Tilt.
Okay, great. So it's a great company that's done a lot of work on thinking through the mechanics of that from a product perspective.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay, let's go further. Okay, ready? Set. You have a problem. Let's say you're a student and you want to learn how to play golf in your spare time. But before going to a country club and just asking a golf instructor to teach you to play golf, you decide to ask your friends. Hopefully one of them knows how to play golf and they can teach you in their free time. So you go onto Facebook and you scroll through the friends list. No need. You have way too many friends and too little time to spare. So you move on to Facebook groups and you post directly on your timeline. No responses because people don't really know you, and the people who do know you really well don't have the skills to teach you how to play golf. So you quit. And then the problem is that it's really hard to meet people of specific interests. And that's why you're at square one, you have no idea what to do, you're super frustrated. And that kernel of frustration is exactly what Sum wants to fix. We wanted to make sure we weren't alone in our thinking, and that's why we asked undergrads, grads, internationals, and professionals. And they all, majority of them, agreed in our problem. They had the similar thinking. So the conclusion was that
our problem wasn't isolated. Feeling validated from our interviews, we decided to develop our BMC. And we got really in-depth and thought about our value proposition. But this wasn't a smooth journey. For the past 7 weeks, we've encountered a lot of roadblocks, went through a lot of pivots, and developed 3 to 4 MVPs to finally come to our current solution, which is Sum is an online platform that introduces you to new people of similar and or different interests. We want to promote an on-demand supply environment in which, based on your needs and interests, you and others get connected. So let's take your example of wanting to learn how to play golf. You would use this application, and we, Sum, would provide recommendations, intelligent suggestions of the kind of person who would want to talk to you as well as teach you golf. And this information we would get about who you are, the interests you have, and the kind of person you're looking for, all from your profile card.
So we quickly test our MVPs by actually setting up a really simple type form on Facebook. Sorry. Yeah, so we ask people 2 questions, like what's the best word to describe you, and what are the best word to describe the people you want to meet? So let's say if you're a foodie and you're looking for a techie, and there's a techie looking for a foodie, bingo, you guys are matched. So we actually recommend people to each other, and there are 4 people last weekend actually met at Stanford to each other. And we also set up another MVP on WeChat, the most popular social media currently in China. And we have already 83 followers from 1 weekend and from 6 universities, and we are about to recommending friends to them. So these are our MVPs, and you might be wondering, so how's the final thing kind of look like? So let me walk you through how the final thing gonna be look like. So let's say you get out of the class, and you have, all your friends are still in class, so you actually can talk to someone for coffee and dinner. And you just started your project, and you're looking for 2 another teammates on board, probably one of them UI designer, another one of them finance guy. So you open up application, and you see all those awesome people around you. So those are the people that we recommend to you by your information card. So let's click on Pikachu. Okay, Pikachu, yes. So here we have Amy. Amy is a Wesley student, and she actually, she loves playing golf, and also she has done some internship before. But more importantly, Amy is someone who can do UI designer. So if you want to connect with Amy, so you send a request to connect, and once you guys connected, you guys actually start scheduling a meeting. So you choose the time and choose the location that works for you, and if Amy agrees with all, you guys can have a cup of coffee together and start your friendship from there. So within a couple of clicks, all we want to do is to bring you these seamless and effortless experiences of finding people new and meeting them at campus.
So what's next for us? We basically started 7 weeks ago dreaming about pitching here in front of you. 7 weeks later, here we've achieved our goal. And in 6 months, we will have developed an MVP. And this is us. Thank you.
First, I just want to say this is a really clever way of connecting people. What I really like is the fact that you handle the introductions all the way through the meeting planning all in one place. And as I was thinking about it, I thought this could actually work really well as a dating app too, because it handles that entire pipeline. But one question is, how do you plan to monetize it?
You can go ahead. Because we are currently working on a lot of students, and students have this frustration actually finding internship to do. And we are thinking of partnering with probably those startups who don't have such strong human resources team, and actually bring them together to the students on campus. So we will be charging fees from those startups. And also, that's one, but we can also do, because eventually people are going to meet somewhere. So we can actually work with the vendors on campus. Like, if they pay us something, they will be the number 1 in the list.
How does it not become a dating app?
Well, we have dating app like Tinder already. And so we think the way that we will market that is that probably we will not have profile picture at all. So you don't really know what that person looks like because it's kind of superficial for us. I mean, if you really want to know that person, it's the deeper side of that person that matters to you. So without having a profile photo and also trying to have more professional, information there, like we're probably getting your internship that we're doing, so that people will not think this as a, hopefully, not a dating app.
So I guess your messaging will help determine that. Are you going to specifically say this is for, not romance, but for friendship? Platonic dating?
That's what we try to intend.
Because people will always go there otherwise.
Right. And we definitely hope that by conveying our motto and our platform, that people understand that we're really not trying to gear towards dating. We're more the social friendships and the professional side. And also, this is really geared towards students, meeting students on campus. And I mean, a lot of students have time to date, but they're very geared towards academics, furthering their career ambitions, and that's what we really want to promote.
One of the things you mentioned, which was interesting, is you had the foodie and the techie, and you had this taxonomy that you had kind of defined.
Yes.
What's the depth of that taxonomy look like, and do people recognize what those terms are and what they might mean? So maybe talk a little bit more about that. I would love to learn more.
The way we had designed these taxonomies technically were to test out if people were having similar interests, right? For instance, we had I think 4 or 5 different terms like foodie, techie, sports, athletic, more general terms that people could directly relate to rather than more specific terms that they want to think about, because there's a higher chance that a foodie is also a techie and also an athletic, but they really don't have that particular instant moment to decide what they are at that instant. So we kind of say that like 6 or 7 general terms that define each person. So we go by that way, and we get start from there.
That's how we actually do. That's how we actually did MVP, because we want to try out the idea whether people are really willing to meet out people. So we didn't really spend much time on finding out those terms. But in our real app, you will see that there's a lot more information about those terms that define a person. You will know. Things like the internship we have been doing, the academic research projects you have been doing, those are the things that really relate to people rather than those small terms like techie and foodie. Yeah.
And I'm curious if you take dating off and you look on the campus setting, is there even a more specific opportunity around need other than just friendship, which is kind of broad and maybe a little hard to do, but you've got all these various startups happening, you have all these various projects happening. When you do have a specific need for a particular skill set or a particular background or interest to fit into a team, and was there any discussion around that type of matchmaking to fill out teams on campuses?
Yes, technically, I think about a couple of days ago, we had met with a computer science PhD student here in Stanford, and he was one of our first users of the MVP. And he was really interested in trying to know about the match he got about. And the 2 or 3 important points that he raised to us was, I am a PhD student, and I would love to help undergrads or master students who would love to learn and maybe probably work for free, like a free labor. And also, I have the interest to share my knowledge more than kind of incentivizing on it. So we kind of targeted that part of the students on campus. But if we're going out of the campus around startups in Palo Alto or the town, we might probably put more on a professional level, like kind of showing what the student is capable of doing, like if it's a software engineer, what they are, if it's a designer, what they can do, like a portfolio, things like that. So, but we have technically just focused on campus and opportunities for students to interact between seniors and juniors kind of thing.
Also, just to add on to what he just said, we talked a lot about scenarios where a lot of upperclassmen want to be paired up with the underclassmen because for several reasons. They want to know what's the latest happening and like how the freshmen are feeling, what majors are they gearing towards. And in turn, freshmen want to know the ins and outs of certain career fields such as investment banking or entrepreneurship. And when they cultivate those friendships, in 4 years, when the upperclassmen have graduated and they come back to campus as recruiters, they have developed these deep bonds with freshmen or sophomores, and they know that, okay, this student I have spoken to for the past 2 to 3 years, and I know they have the caliber to succeed at my company. So that's the kind of friendship we're trying to cultivate. And then there's like also other examples of PhD students needing free labor as well.
Just one. I think we're out of time, but just one note. I think that I think you really hit on something there, because if you're sort of generic friendship, or you're generic, I'm gonna hook up people who are looking for specific skills, you're somewhere like in between Tinder and LinkedIn.
Right.
Yeah.
And not really in a happy place. But I think if you can identify clear segments that, like, upperclassmen and freshmen, where there's not a good way for them to get together and they need to get together, and you target them in particular, whatever those different segments are, foodies and techies, whatever, then I think there might be a little more depth there.
Yeah, it feels like a virtual mobile professional fraternity of sorts, which is interesting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So imagine if your mom suddenly gets diagnosed with dementia. Where would you go to find information about it?
You Google dementia, and the first things you read make you feel hopeless. There is no cure.
Imagine your grandfather has slowly lost his memory. How do you meaningfully reconnect with him?
These are the dilemmas faced every day by caregivers of dementia and Alzheimer's patients. We here at Fontimio are here to tackle these challenges. We are a diverse team with diverse interests, but what brings us together is our common interest in the field of healthcare, and more specifically, in the field of dementia and Alzheimer's disease.
So initially, we started doing research to get to know a little bit more about the problematics that these patients diagnosed with dementia were facing. And after conducting many interviews and sort of researching the solutions that were available on the market, we realized that a whole demographic was being overlooked, and that is the caregivers. These people sacrifice their income, their time, their energy, and their mind space to care for their loved ones. Hence, we decided to start digging deeper to really understand their current reality. So we interviewed multiple people, very diverse, coming from diverse fields of the medical industry, to really understand the reality, and we learned a lot.
Upon conducting numerous interviews with caregivers, we identified three main problems that they universally face. The first problem is the lack of resources once a patient gets diagnosed with a disease. They don't know how to properly take care of them. The second problem is a stigma that the external community gives their family once their loved one gets a disease. These people are viewed as completely hopeless and unable to function on their own, and also more or less the living dead. And the last problem we identified was the need to rekindle the relationship with their loved one as the symptoms progressed and they became more and more forgetful. To ameliorate these three problems, we created a simple software system, an application that would remove the day-to-day stress of caregivers' lives.
So as Akash mentioned, these caregivers have difficulty creating those meaningful moments with their patients. And so our solution is essentially provides expert feedback on how to specifically do that. So our solution is essentially an activity suggestion platform that its content is curated by professionals from the dementia community. And what is special about our solution is that it gets to know you, and that is catered to your context and your preferences using questions as filters and also geolocalization to know things such as the time, the place, and the weather.
So the problems that we're tackling are the stigma that's given to people who have dementia, the need for their caregivers to connect meaningfully with them, and the lack of concrete resources for them to do that. Our solution is an expert-curated platform which provides suggestions to caregivers for how to meaningfully connect with their loved ones in a positive way, such as, for example, the Connected Horse Project, which is an initiative right here in California that pairs people with dementia with horses.
Not only do we make a massive social impact, but we're also a very viable business model. Our main costs are in terms of software and platform maintenance, and also in marketing fees related to reaching out to healthcare professionals and Alzheimer's and dementia advisory groups. Our main revenues come from advertisements, and more specifically, targeted and sponsored advertisements for specific events and activities, customized for specific geographic locations.
So what's next for us? So we are currently working alongside Ontario Dementia Advisory Board and University of Toronto to make this happen. And we hope to launch our product during the fall. So by the end of the year, we really want to collect feedback, improve our product, find potential new partners or team members that want to join us. And at the beginning of next year, we want to participate in Dementia Hack, which is a hackathon for dementia, just to really gain exposure, get our product out there. And I mean, throughout the process, following our anticipated success, we hope to explore new demographics that can even go beyond healthcare. So thank you so much for listening. We're Fontimio. We really hope that you can join us in helping those caregivers create those meaningful moments.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I love that in thinking about dementia, you focused on the caregiver. It is such a substantial and growing population, and to your point, very often ignored. And so I think that's really exciting. I also then separately wonder if you build a platform like this, the potential for parents and children and other groups that have similar types of need that could plug in where you've got a lot of those activities available. I'm curious in dementia, obviously the horse is such a great example. How many activities are there like that you would be able to promote and plug in versus how creative do you have to be in generating suggestions of how people could spend their time?
Right, of course.
So there's actually quite a lot of options out there, but they're quite difficult to find all over the web. So we'd really like this platform to kind of amalgamate all of them. And we also are working with researchers from the University of Toronto who have their own philosophies about how to engage meaningfully with people that kind of takes a stigma away. And they would definitely be putting something.
So it really could be a discovery platform, and then potentially leveraging some of the science and ideas about how to engage.
And our third option to get the activities on there is to actually, by user-generated content. So activities that have worked well for other people can be voted up the platform, and they can be spread amongst the population.
So I love this idea. It actually hits home because my mother is the caregiver for my father who has dementia. And so I'm trying to think of how they might use this platform or I might use it. It seems like you're imagining it as being an app on a phone that you interact with. Maybe you pay for the app and then you interact with various activities, or it gives you various activities you can do with the patient. But I'm wondering if you've thought about the fact that most caregivers of folks with dementia tend to be their spouses, and they might not be great at using apps. So two things to think about. One, if you are going to create an app that they use, it better be simpler than you can imagine. This is coming from watching my mom try to use Uber, for example, or DoorDash. It's quite a sight. Or secondly, it doesn't have to be an app. If you just mailed them something once a week or once a month, which was a box which contained sort of activities that you could do, that alone might appeal to the generation that you're talking about. Because that generation, maybe the next generation will be good enough with a smartphone to be able to deal with it, but right now I fear that many of them wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, that's actually a great point, and that's been the focus of of many interviews that we conducted as well, because at first we were thinking about doing a completely different product, and we wanted to incorporate the Apple Watch, and then we realized that doesn't cater to the demographic at all. And as we talked to them, they were saying it needs to be, you know, through something that we use in our daily lives that is already incorporated into our routine, because there are some cognitive limitations there in the sense that there is no room really for more consumer learning or anything like that. So that's definitely something to consider.
I think that is the right point, which is that they can't, the hard thing about apps is that you have to learn something new. And it's really hard to do that when you're at that age, it turns out.
I would also say it's difficult for the patient. So my grandmother had Alzheimer's and dementia. My great aunt now has it. And so this hits really close to home for me as well. And I love what you guys are working on. I think the subscription box service idea is really great. And I say that because, man, like 6 months ago when I was in Chicago, I went to go visit my great aunt in the nursing home. And like she can't even, she's so far gone that she can't even relate to a phone, you know? So if the activity is there, or if it's coming from there and I'm trying to read to her what we're going to do, she's not going to get it, because the other thing about her stage of dementia and Alzheimer's is that she can no longer communicate. So if there's something tangible, like a box with these activities, then that could probably go a really long way, especially since, I mean, for my family, we basically use the same toys and tools that you use with a toddler in order to help her keep her memory working and engaged with the world.
I would like to quickly, that's a very good point, but I would like to quickly stress that the app itself is not for the people suffering with dementia themselves, but rather for the caregivers who are able to interact with it.
Absolutely.
And also going back to your point with the delivery boxes, that's a very good idea. And I think the great thing about your suggestion is that the core value proposition stays the same across, but it's just the way we deliver it is changing, and that's something that can be very flexible on. So thank you.
I love that idea.
All right, thank you.
Really
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pretty amazing, right, guys? 6.5 weeks, full-time students. Yeah, really, really incredible. Thank you guys so much. Now we're going to... oh, you want to bring that up first? Okay. Okay, first. All right. First person I'd like to bring up real quick, this is going to take about 30 seconds, bear with us, is Drew Gorham. Drew, come on. Don't wave. Come up here. So if you're wondering how these guys built all these minimum viable products so fast, that's because Drew, he's an MVP expert, and he's really helped them go from, I need $200,000 and 10 months to do this, to I need $5 and some gum to chew while I do it. So that's Drew. We have Ryan Mayfield right over here, who's a fantastic guy who keeps the trains running on time, as many of the teams who practice pitching can tell you. The reason why it's not 10:30 right now is because of Ryan. And also Roland Gilla. That's you. Roland has been with SVIA from humble beginnings 3 years ago, and he actually came back to us after graduating from Tufts recently, and we're very proud to have him back. So this is part of the team that helped this happen, but definitely not the most important part. And would like to bring up the director of programs here for the Stanford summer session that made this happen, Jimmy Moore. So,
hi everybody. How about that? I'm on? All right. How about these incredible minds, these incredible presentations? What do you think? We are so incredibly proud of you. We are so proud of you. And not just the teams that presented tonight, for all of you who are here participating in SVIA. We followed you all along. We read your Medium posts. I mean, y'all created enough content for us to share for the entire world for the entire year. Thank you so much. But more importantly, and first, I do want to say, we lay the path to help create this program, but the reality is we have to bring around experts. We have to bring around the best people in the world, the best people in the industry. Luckily, they just work across the street. And thank you so much to William and BM&T and his team there. It was really incredible. They really facilitated this for you. Weren't they amazing, guys? Right? Thank you to our most prestigious judges. It is our honor to have you here. We're so grateful for your participation in this experience. And I do just want to share that this experience was designed as this kind of immersive opportunity for Stanford summer students to really engage in the culture, the education, the feeling, the vibe of what Silicon Valley really has to offer. And Silicon Valley is what surrounds us. It's part of the culture of Stanford, but frankly, it's part of what Stanford has created on this planet. Stanford students are changing the world every single day. That is not an overstatement. That is an absolute fact. And now you are part of that. And these 100 students in SVIA, which P.S., over 500 students started the journey applying for Silicon Valley Innovation Academy. These teams represent the best of the best. And the students in summer session, we have about 1,400 students from our visiting high school students. Got any high school students in the crowd? They're shy, they sat up top. To visiting college students from all around the country and all around the world. Are you here? Yes. And we also have Stanford students who are here for the summer taking classes. We have amazing Stanford faculty in this community of people who are in this room who support the ideas of innovation and changing the world. So now you all are part of that culture, that tradition of changing the world. These ideas that you brought up here today, this is just the beginning. We call this the finale because we're closing shop. Y'all got to go. But go out to the world and change it. Go out to the world and change it. Make it amazing. And thank you so much for that. Some thank yous for my team. Some really behind the scenes. We hired somebody, and she started like the day before y'all arrived. Miss Susie Jones back here, she made sure the rooms were booked, the food was available, the buses were there. She made sure all of the mechanics were working with the team to really make this happen. So I'm only good with ideas. I just hire really, really good people to really help make those things happen. Also, Shannon Freeze is here, and she's on our marketing team and really helps make all of this happen as well. And finally, somebody who's made you all look brilliant and beautiful and sexy and adorable and fun all summer long, our amazing photographer, David. He's up there. He knows my good side. But really, there's so many people helping to kind of lay the path and the groundwork for you all to do incredible things and change the world. And I can't believe that I just welcomed you here 7 weeks ago, and to see what you created today is really just like super humbling. And I hope I can grow up to be like you one day. So thank you so much. But what I want to do now is I want to honor a few of your teams, because really there are some awards. Anybody like to get an award? Oh, who doesn't? Thank you. So I want to do, the first award is going to be, that's why I have my phone, P.S. I'm not like Pokemon Go. Oh, got one. All right. First award is for most interviews. As y'all know, feedback is one of the major cornerstones of really making this work. Talk to 1 million people, get 1 million pieces of information, that'll give you the best. The most interviews, you saw them on stage tonight with 168. Rendezvous, come on up stage. When I call your team's name, come on up. I was wondering, some of y'all, did y'all go to class? Did you do the other things you were supposed to do while you were here? Because you're busy changing the world. I'm not sure if you went to the classes. Yes. Oh, good. I told you I found one. All right, so come on up. You guys can get your awards. We'll take a picture of you from somewhere up there. And so while you're doing that, next award, one of the other cornerstones of entrepreneurship and this lean startup methodology is really the courage and the bravery to address not just a little problem, but big problems. One of the challenges I gave you in the very beginning of the program was think of the big problems the world has and go out and solve them, because you can. And one of the biggest problems that one of our teams in SVIA that tried to address is huge, and it affects almost every single person in this room, whether you know it or not. They really tried to use data and numbers and math to work to create solutions in addressing cancer. And I'd like to bring up members of the team from Math Health. Let's hear it for them. Math Health. Are you here? There they are. Come on up. Big ideas and big solutions. Come on up. She's like... Another huge cornerstone of this ideology in entrepreneurship is the ability to move in a direction, stop and turn, move in a direction, stop and turn. I just like to dance, but that's called the pivot. You heard them talking about how many times they pivot, how many iterations of their plan that they had, right? So we wanted to give an award to the biggest pivot in the change direction. And this was a team that really did this. They started with technology that was they thought they were going to be dealing with washing machines and dealing with something at home. And then they found out that, we talked to some people, that's not the answer. We're going to use our technology in air conditioners, in hotels, and really solve a real problem that's happening in that industry. And they had a huge pivot. So let's hear it for home health. Home health. When you're in a 7-week program and you're 4 weeks into it and you say, wow, our idea is not at all what we thought it was going to be, that takes a lot of courage to stop and pivot and change direction. So I really applaud that, and I encourage you all to take on that trait. And finally, we have an award it's the SVIA Award for Overall Excellence. And we are presenting this to a team that really did a lot of these things. They took on a big problem. They talked to people. They made partnerships all across not only Silicon Valley but internationally, and they're gonna do something, and they're gonna change the world. They networked with everyone that they possibly could, and they're really trying to solve a big problem for the caretakers of people with dementia and Alzheimer's. Let's hear it for Funtimio. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2016 SVIA Award winners. Come on down. Come on down this way. Come on. If y'all would join us in the center of the stage, we're going to take a big group photo. Now, I would like to invite all the participants of Silicon Valley Innovation Academy, all the teams who present tonight, and everybody else who participated. Please come on stage. We want to take a big class photo of you and commemorate this moment and celebrate it. Thank you all so much for attending tonight. See you next year.